Hi, I'm Dave Jackson. Welcome to another JPR Live Session where we get to know artists we admire and hear intimate live performances from the JPR Steve Nelson Performance Studio on the campus of Southern Oregon University. With me today is a Grammy-winning singer-songwriter and activist for social and environmental justice and one half of the legendary rock duo Indigo Girls. Amy Ray, welcome to JPR.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
It's so good to be here.
You're here with the Amy Ray Band, but your resume includes 20 Indigo Girls albums, 10 Amy Ray albums, the Indigo Girls documentary, It's Only Life After All, made festival circuits last year, and it's coming out this year in theaters?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, in
I'm
the
looking
spring,
for
short run in the theaters, and then I think to streaming maybe.
Very cool. And that's coming out later this year. And I want to talk to you about that a little later. But most importantly, after an excruciatingly long and hilarious lead up, Indigo Girls performed on Tig Notaro's 2018 and Netflix special, Happy to Be Here. How much fun was that?
Well, it was fun, but it was awkward, you know?
Well, I think she sets things up to be.
Yeah, because we kept saying, should we just go on out there? And the stage manager's like, hold. And she's so good at that awkward
She really is.
comedy.
That was so funny.
But we felt so uncomfortable that we kept wanting to get out on stage.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
We love her.
She is. She's hilarious.
Yeah.
And then forgive me for my Indigo Girls fanboyism. The Indigo Girls classic Closer to Fine it's been inspirational to me and like so many other people, but it was used, remade by Brandi Carlile and Catherine Carlile and introduced to new audiences in Barbie last summer. What did you think when they approached you guys about using the song?
Oh, yeah. Well, at first it was just like Barbie wants to use a song in the trailer to the movie.
Yeah.
And we were like, I don't know, because we didn't know the director. And then they said it's Greta Gerwig. And we were like, oh, yeah, totally.
Right.
We're down with that.
Cool.
And then it ended up being in the movie as well. And we didn't know what scenes it was going to be in or anything until we saw it. And we were just so pleased, so happy, and just giddy, really, about it. It was like manna from heaven, and then Brandi and Cass did the cover of the song, and we see some younger audience coming in, and it's cool. It's really cool.
It's really cool that like a new generation of people are going to get turned on to that song. It's a really cool song.
Yeah, Emily wrote a ringer.
Yeah, it really was.
It
was early in your career. Yeah, just knocked it out of the park.
It's carried us the whole way, that song.
But again, you're here as the Amy Ray Band, and you're on tour with Dar Williams. Who's in your lineup today? Who's here in the studio?
Oh, I have an awesome band. We've been together over 10 years, this band has. And we've got Matt Smith from Asheville on dobro. He plays banjo as well and pedal steel when we play live. Adrian Carter from Atlanta is playing fiddle today, but he also plays guitar and banjo. Our drummer from Charlotte, North Carolina is Jim Brock. Our bass player from Charlotte, North Carolina is Kerry Brooks. And Dan Walker's playing accordion. He's our keyboard player. When we play live, we're kind of all electric and stuff too. And then our guitar player, mandolin, dobro, vocal, they all sing. But this guy from Seattle, Washington is Jeff Fielder. And that's the band. We do this kind of broken down acoustic-y thing, and then when we're on stage with Dar, we do like a, throwdown.
More of a rock band.
Yeah, it's both. I mean, we vacillate, but we do like to get very Pink Floyd sometimes,
Cool. Sounds like a fun show. Well, you're here. Why don't you start off with a song? What do you want to play?
We're going to do a song called Joy Train, and it's the first cut on our new record. The record's called If It All Goes South. And I should say our producer for all of our stuff, Brian Speiser, is also here.
Right.
Standing here. He's going to do some vocals. But he's doing sound for us on this run, which we never have a sound person, so we're very happy about it.
And Brian Speiser, if you don't know, produces for Tedeschi Trucks Band as well. So heavy hitters here.
He's a heavy hitter.
Yeah, definitely.
But before Tedeschi Trucks, he was Indigo Girls for us.
Oh, is that right?
We claim him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Tedeschi Trucks Band stole.
They stole him.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But that's all right, because now we steal their players.
Yeah, well, I'd seen that. Yeah, you worked
Derek.
with Kofi Burbridge and Gabe Dixon and
Gabe, Kofi,
yeah. And,
Sue, Derek.
It's very cool.
Anybody we can get.
Yeah, no
we
kidding.
Just grab them.
Yeah, excellent.
Bobby Tees does our engineering. It's a happy family.
Yeah.
But here we go. All right, Joy Train. Behind a chicken truck, my baby's sleeping in the back, driving out the demons as the feathers blow on past. burning up the sky. Two crackers in the summertime, dwelling on a cage while life flies by. Roll, Jordan, roll. Roll, Jordan, roll. Roll, Jordan, roll. Jackson, Jackson, all the way to Mississippi town, where Medgar Evers haunts me. I swear he followed me around. I saw him riding with Christ Calvary, and the horses and the hounds singing, joy is thy victory at the revival picnic ground. Death, there is thy sting to be found. Always 16 miles to that Memphis jail. The sheriff, he tells me with a smile, and he says, I made 100 trips. It's quiet, you know, I'm bored right now. Well, Miss Drew got down, as she was dancing with James Brown. She said in 63, I was a society queen. They said everything is fine, two crackers giving me the lowdown. But if it's trouble they want, but it's trouble they will find. Roll, Jordan, roll. Roll, Jordan, roll. Papa's got a brand new bag. Jackson, all the way to Tennessee town, where Martin Luther haunts me. I swear he follows me around, and he sings, death, there is thy sting to be found. Child, dreaming till you can't. Oh, it's Cape Crusaders, you know, it's hapless chance. And don't get caught squandering the good times, dwelling on a cage while life flies by. Roll, Jordan, roll. Roll, Jordan, roll. Roll, Jordan, roll. Mississippi town, where Medgar Evers haunts me. I swear he followed me around, riding with Christ Calvary, and the horses and the hounds singing, joy is thy victory, the revival picnic ground. Death, where is thy sting to be found? I open my window, spring is on the bloom. Burying the bones, I'm coming home, make me some room. I'm jumping on that joy train. Y'all make me some room.
That's the Amy Ray Band. They're my guests today in a JPR Live Session. That was Joy Train. It comes from the latest album, came out in 2022, If It All Goes South. And you did a lot of the writing for that during the pandemic? Is that...
I did.
Yeah,
I
and
did.
in spite of that, and as we just heard, there's some positive vibe on that record. It occurred to me that we ask a lot of poets and entertainers when times are tough. We kind of put a lot of burden on you. How does that? Did you feel any special pressure during that time to because you're kind of a beacon for a lot of people? Did you feel like you needed to step up, or was?
I mean, I don't really think of it that way, you know, because I mean, honestly. The thing during the pandemic, I had a lot of blessings during that time. You know, I live in the woods, so and I had a couple other families that just hung out with us, and their kids hung with our kid, and you know, I mean, my way of stepping up was more like just working at the food pantry and things like that. But I wrote a lot just because I had the time, and we as a band we did a few singles during that time to keep the thread going and keep our friendship alive and just reach beyond the isolation, if you will. And so I mean, my biggest thing was I was very inspired by all the activism during that time. It was remarkable, and coming from the South, and it was kind of became a very big political sort of epicenter and activist epicenter. I was very thankful to be there in some ways, and yeah. So I don't feel, no, I don't, because I don't carry that mantle really. I carry the just music for the people, community spirit mantle.
Well, but that is providing so much for the rest of us.
Yeah,
so,
but we're all helping each other. I mean, I'm not just saying that. Like, it's all, it's a thing. We all have to stick together.
Well, tell us about the personnel on If It All Goes South. In addition to Brian, you've had a lot of other folks on that band, on that album.
This band, we had the singles that we had done digitally, and then I had 7 other songs, and we just recorded those straight to tape live, and with like the full on, we had a string section at one point. We had like a gospel band in there. We had Natalie Hemby come by and do some vocals. Sara Jarosz played mandolin, and Alison Brown played banjo. And we actually did a song live with them. And we had 3 backup singers do some really cool arrangements. We had Gabe Dixon from Tedeschi Trucks Band play keys on stuff and do a string arrangement. Phil Cook came in and did a couple songs with us, and then later on, Brandi Carlile recorded some vocals for us, and Allison Russell recorded some vocals for us as well. And then the trio I'm with her, Sara, Watkins, Sara Jarosz, and Aoife Donovan did a remake of Chuck Will's Widow from a single we had put out that went on this record. So it was like, Alison Brown's always in our band when we record. She's always played with us as a member, but she just can't tour. We can't, we try to just get her to every show we can, basically, but we can't ask her to do the whole tour, really.
Yeah. It's a who's who of our folk section in our music library. It's on your record, so it's really cool to have you guys in here. I've heard you talk recently about growing up LGBTQ in the South and being a Methodist, and you continue to kind of represent all of that might seem kind of conflicting, and you've sorted it out a bit. How did you make peace with all of that?
I made peace with conflict. So basically, is what I did.
Right.
I sort of have like an internal translator that, when I go to church, it comes in my mind, and then it gets sorted out, and then I make the best of it in a way, I mean, definitely I grew up in the church and big time, I definitely have wrestled with a lot of demons from that, but I've also got a lot of great things from that too. Cause I was, I'm a gospel freak basically, and I think everybody has their sort of constructs that they have for their life, Joseph Campbell and the power of myth and all that. And mine is, is Jesus and Christianity. And even though I'm kind of pagan too, I'm sort of, I just spent so much time in the church that it's kind of became my framework. And I just kind of tried to keep the good things, and I'm still wrestling with the bad stuff, which is just like the shame and the homophobia and, and I was like pro-life for a while and very like devoted to that, like for a couple years, like I was all over the map. Let's just say that. I had a Reagan bumper sticker on my dad's Camaro that I just adored, but we go through things, and I think it gave me empathy and compassion for all the different sides and respect, and I appreciate it all, because I really like the idea of listening to how people feel that are different from me. I don't feel comfortable in a bubble at all, so it works for me.
Yeah, that's great. Well, do you guys want to play another song?
Yeah.
What do you want to play?
Yeah, speaking of growing up, I wrote this. It refers a lot to my demons. Around gender and just homophobia, but it also is talking about, the power of teachers in your life and the power of guns in our life in America. But I originally started it after I went to a funeral at a charismatic kind of fundamentalist Christian church for a friend of mine's mom, and the preacher was just amazing, and he was trying to save everybody, because they always do a double thing where they do the funeral, but they also are saving people at the same time. And he just kept saying, Jesus will give you all these things when you die if you believe and you're saved, and you just can't beat that deal. And he kept saying it over and over. And I was like, that is a song. I was like sitting in the pew, like writing making my notes. It's kind of irreverent, but cool. I did it anyway. Anyway, that's what this song is.
This is a Mighty Thing, right?
A Mighty Thing.
All right.
Don't fear the gun, fear the man. That's what they taught me when I was young. Don't hate the sinner, hate the sin. I add it up, and it don't make sense. hate myself? How could I shine? I cannot win.
It's the Amy Ray Band in a JPR Live Session. That was A Mighty Thing. It comes from the album If It All Goes South. It came out in 2022. You can find more about Amy Ray, including her tour schedule and music for purchase, at amyray.com. And the Indigo Girls documentary, It's Only Life After All, will get a theatrical release later this year, and then you'll be able to catch it streaming. And I did want to talk about that documentary because it sounds pretty interesting. It's directed by Alexandria Bombach, and from what I'm gathering, you and Emily gave her just a lot of space to put stuff together and just let her fly with it. Is that kind of how it worked?
Yeah. A friend of ours, since we were in our 20s, Kathleen Horan, she's a producer and a director. She did the Tanya Tucker documentary, and we've been hanging out with her forever. And she introduced us to Alexandria and said, this is, a director that I really love, and blah, blah, blah. And then Alexandria said she went back and Googled whether anybody had done a doc on us because she'd been a fan since she was very young. Mm. And she's done some really powerful work. I mean, the movie that I watched first was a movie called On Her Shoulders, a documentary about a Yazidi woman who had been a sex slave in an ISIS camp and escaped and everything. And it was a documentary about her. And Alexandria's done some heavy stuff, and so she came back to us and said, I want to do a doc on y'all. And I was like, well, as long as it's not really about us, that's great. Because we were kind of like, we wanted it to be about just the community at large and kind of the thing that has been our life, which has involved so many people and so many mentors and activists and musicians and collaborators. So that was really her vision anyway, is to talk about the fan community and kind of listeners and collaborators and just the trajectory of like the evolution of queer and gender identity and addiction and all that in our lives. And she's very disarming.
Yeah.
So we opened up our lives to her, and I had a ton of archives because and our office, our manager, who's been with us since we were 23, had a ton of stuff too. And they just diligently kind of took all of our stuff and logged it in and digitized it. And she had, she could make probably 10 movies out of what we had. So she spent a few years in the basement of her Santa Fe place during the pandemic, I guess, editing, and created this really beautiful arc, of a story. And we're moved by it and honored to be in it. I mean, it's not, it's her work. It's her work. Really.
How was it like reviewing that and having it all kind of reflected back at you?
It's awkward. And sometimes it's cringing, because you're like, oh my God, I was such a little jerk. Or I was so sad during that time. Or, wow, there's my dad. He's passed away since, and all these things. So, and this way she wrapped things up was quite compelling. And we hadn't even seen the threads that she saw. So that was interesting. But we each watched it by ourselves in a hotel room to give feedback. And that was a pretty interesting experience, but it's joyful to watch now. We watch it sometimes at a film festival. We'll see some of it. And just to kind of and then do a Q&A or whatever. And it's joyful because people laugh together and cry and make remarks during the movie, and it becomes a whole thing, you know?
How cool. And in addition to music, you're pretty well known, and you've sort of brought it up a couple times, as an activist for social and environmental issues, social justice and environmental issues. Well, you guys started out as kind of environmental activists early on, and then you ran into Winona LaDuke. How did that all, that came out early as well in your guys' career?
We're in Betty LaDuke's territory right now.
Right,
My mom. So
right.
I always think of Betty LaDuke when I'm right here in Ashland. But we saw Winona speak at an Earth Day show in the early 90s, and we had been doing a lot of very kind of more mainstream white. The movement back then was pretty white. It was pretty segregated, I'll just say. And Greenpeace and Sierra Club and those major organizations didn't have as many people of color on the board. It's so different now. And I think the reason it's different is people like Winona, you know, that have pushed that. But we heard Winona speaking, and we were just like, you know, the light bulb went off, and we were like, we got to meet her and like plot together and do something. And so at that time, I think that was 91 when we first heard her. And then we started a group called Honor the Earth with her and the Indigenous Women's Network and the Indigenous Environmental Fund. And we started this group, and it's been around, it's still around. And basically we raised, the first mission was to raise grant money for existing Native organizations and just give them money and amplify their voices. And then we started traveling a lot to Indian country and doing cultural exchange and bringing attention by doing press conferences to the issues in the areas. We did a lot of stuff on, you know, energy, bad energy versus good energy, and, you know, as far as fossil fuels versus renewables, and cleanup of, like, you know, pollution from everything from paper mills to nuclear waste mining to, you know, working on dam projects. It just, you know, it ran the gamut in Indian country. We really focused on North America. We did some work with the Zapatistas. We've done a little bit of work with Canadian groups. And so it was, you know, very sharp learning curve for me and Emily in the beginning, but it taught us everything we know about activism and about any kind of activism, you know, and how to organize. The folks that were doing the organizing really know what they're doing, and those Native leaders they're kind of our future, I think, you know, and especially the women leaders. They're just really, you know, women of color leaders in general, like Stacey Abrams and the great people we have, you know, in our country. Those are the people to me for the future. So,
well, I was actually going to ask how have things adapted and sort of changed for like the 2020s now that you've been doing this for quite a while. That's it.
I mean, it's still this, you know, unfortunately, we're doing a lot of the same work. You know, it's bad energy projects and pipelines and, you know, working on, but there's a lot of positive things because there's so much great, in Native country, there's just amazing entrepreneurship and agriculture work and youth organizing. I mean, the youth-led movements right now generally across the board are incredible in non-Indian country and everywhere. So very inspiring to see that. So for me, I'm just kind of listening and trying to do according to, because there's a lot of great people that I'm still getting mentored by that are 40 years younger than me.
Right. I heard you talk recently about you know, the intergenerational learning. It's like you can learn from the people older than you, and you can learn from the people who are coming up behind you too. So
that's what we learned in Native country, really, in Indian country, is that, because we traveled with, you know, elders, and we traveled with kids on the tour bus, and then Jackson Brown and Bonnie were there too. And we, you know, and then we would just, you know, you don't separate and segregate. You know, you're all together all the time. And so it is totally intergenerational, and it's beautiful, and it's really something that was alien to me as a very suburban white person, you know, where you kind of seclude the old folks away, and the kids have their kid table at Thanksgiving, and, you know, all that stuff, and you don't mix, and it's so different in Indian country, and I imagine it's different for, you know, Hispanic populations as well, and Latinx movements.
Yeah, there's a different idea about family and different cultures. And I remember John Trudell once called it your DNA, your descendants, and your ancestors. That's what you live
Trudell,
for. Yeah.
Rest in peace. He was one of our early, very important mentors in many ways, and a trickster for us.
Yeah.
He used to play little pranks on us. He thought it was very funny.
Sounds about right.
To make the white girls squirm. I loved him so much. He was one of our best teachers, actually. John Trudell was,
Well, can you play us another tune? What do you want to wrap up with?
Yeah, it's not about anything about that, but
That's okay.
it's about a dog.
Dogs are great too. I'll show you a picture of mine when
Yeah,
we're done.
this was a song that we recorded during the pandemic, and it just, Brian's going to sing with us. You going to sing? Yeah. Okay. We're going to try to get this right. It's kind of challenging. All right. Ready? I got a dog like muscadines. Eat 'em from the road, eat 'em from the vine. He ain't picky, rain or shine. Yeah, he walk with me any old time. I gotta go, but he don't mind. Mary come around, it'll be fine. All he wants is a hand that's kind. It could be Mary's, it could be mine. All he wants is a hand that's kind. All he wants is a hand that's kind. All he wants is a hand that's kind. I wanna be grateful for what is mine, but when it's not being satisfied, and take these two halves, make them rhyme, leave this world better than the way I found it. Yeah, I got a dog like muscadines. He used to bark at the owls at night. Now his world is dark and quiet, but he walks with me, he don't mind it. I got a feeling old anxiety stealing my sleep and leaving me pining. Why can't I love my Valentine? Leave that Clementine behind. Why can't I love my Valentine? Why can't I love my Valentine? Why can't I love my Valentine? I wanna be grateful for what is mine, when it's not being satisfied. Take these two hands, make them rhyme, leave this world better the way I found it. Marry me by the old sun is strong as twine. You're the only love that I couldn't unwind. Baby, this heart will get in line. You're the only love that I couldn't unwind. Only love that I couldn't unwind. Only love that I couldn't unwind.
That is Muscadine, the Amy Ray Band. It's my guest in a JPR Live Session today. And what a great song. It's very pretty.
Thank you. Thanks for having us here. It's
you're welcome.
Awesome here.
So what's on your horizon? What's going on in 2024?
Well, Indigos have a tour with Amos Lee on the West Coast, which we're very excited about because we love that man.
Man, he just did a Lucinda Williams cover album.
I know.
It's really good stuff.
It's great.
Yeah.
We love him. We met him a long time ago, and this is just so exciting to get to do this. And then we're doing the opening for him, kind of co-bill. We're opening Melissa Etheridge dates on the East Coast, which is like we haven't sung with her since we were 23.
Wow.
And then we actually have a movie called Glitter and Doom coming out I think in the later spring maybe, or April, March. It's like a jukebox musical that uses our music to tell the story of these two queer men who fall in love. They're very opposite. One's glitter and one's doom. And it's very Cirque du Soleil, Moulin Rouge, magical realism. Like I went down to Mexico to film like a couple of scenes or something and see what was going on. And it's just beautiful, the set. And it's just like full of like queer people and colorful and like dreamy. And it's very deep, but super positive. But they took our music and like mashed it up. So like different songs together, like some obscure song by Emily goes into some song by me but they sing it all. And then a music producer produced all the tracks, who is Michelle Shamuel, and she's amazing. So that's coming out too, along with the documentary. And then we have the tour, and Emily's working on a couple of musicals. The Amy Ray Band is recording a live record on this tour, just taking gear with us everywhere we go and doing that. So that'll come out, I don't know whenever we finish, I guess. But
you were busy.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a lot. It is a lot, but I'm going to try to take more time at home too, because I have a wonderful 10-year-old and partner, and my mom is, needing us more. So it's that time of life, gotta like take care of your friends and family and stuff.
Well, it's certainly a pleasure meeting and hearing live someone I've been listening to for now most of my life.
Wow, you're so sweet. This is a very cool station, and
thanks.
high in the musicians' sort of like life of like what stations are cool and stuff. So it's cool.
Thank you so much for that, and thanks for joining us. You can get more information about Amy Ray at amyray.com. JPR Live Sessions are produced by John Griffin of Luna's End Studios, and you can find our podcasts on our website, ijpr.org, also Apple Podcasts and Spotify. For JPR, I'm Dave Jackson. Thanks for listening.